guys, I want 80% of what you do to focus on benefit advertising. And benefit advertising is storytelling.
When you say ROAS, yeah, that's very exciting.
Yeah. Oh, I also have a really good best next thing I can do. How cool would it be to do like a Coachella collaboration with X, Y, Z, with a lot of influencers and let them go to tour in Bali together?
No, I buy the idea, by the way. What do you think that is different in you that you're willing to take those risks?
I'm a gambler.
Picture this. Your team brings in a creative idea. The kind of idea that gets the whole room excited, that you would bet your budget on. But someone opens a spreadsheet, and suddenly you find yourself on the defensive, trying to justify gut feelings with numbers you don't quite have yet. Today, on Birch Talks, we're unpacking the never-ending battle between creative intuition and data-based decisions. I'm Christian, and on Birch Talks, we focus on the human side of marketing work, share inspiring stories, and specific frameworks that will help you create campaigns that you are proud of. And today we're bringing in Lodeweyckx. Alex, you've managed over 300 million in media spent. You've scaled Loop Earplugs to 400 million in total revenue. And you have always been helping companies scale and grow. That's your background, right?
Yeah, correctly. Like the e-commerce scene, the C scene, anything that's related to just scaling business and then like being ROI positive, I like it. That's my mindset.
That's your jam.
Yes.
And actually, it would be fair to say that you are the go-to person when someone wants to know about scaling and growth, right? But today,
Appreciate.
no, it's true. It's true. But today, the focus will be a little bit different. We're going to talk to different topics.
Okay.
Which is what happens before scaling.
Yeah.
Okay. So when there is a creative, there's this bet that you have, but the numbers don't quite support it yet.
Yeah.
And you have to decide whether to fight for it.
Yeah.
Or kill it.
Yes.
So the first question that we want to know, right, is most marketers always say, let data decide. But you seem to have a different opinion on that.
Yeah.
What's your point there?
Yeah, so that's the funny thing, right? Because if you trust data completely, then you trust the algorithm also, in a way. As in, you read the data, but the data gets read from a platform, which is mostly your Meta or your Google. So if you just accept that whatever Meta tells you is true, then you kind of trust the algorithm 100%. And honestly, I'm a Belgian person, so I'm quite skeptical in life, a lot of things. So I was skeptical about like when I read data, I want to understand like what's behind it, and that's it. And I think that when it comes to creative, you need to really understand like, is this creative allowing me to find new audiences? Is creative allowing me to actually unlock a new company, like a new customers that want to buy from me, and that's it. And if you super simple, clear example, if you launch only product ads, for example, typical, very clear product ads, you'll notice that your performance always will be good in platform. You'll always get ROAS and so on, right? But you won't able to scale it properly. Because product ads in Meta loves them. It's seen like, oh, I'm gonna launch this product ads for people already are warm or hot on my funnel. Because it's logical. If you are a new customer, for example, right? And you see a product ad, you might not convert right direct. But if you are already aware of the product, for example, and then you see a product ad, that's the right moment where you want to see this creative. So it's a typical thing that if you launch only product ads, you will see beautiful results in Meta, but you won't be able to properly scale because it's only squeezing out your bottom layer funnel, your bottom layer people that already are warming you down your funnel, and that's the difficulty part, right? So on the opposite side, it's like where I was pushing in my team, like I literally told my teams always, like, guys, I want 80% of what you do to focus on benefit advertising. And benefit advertising is storytelling. It's a clear benefit, it's a clear use case, it's exploring how people can get a problem solution out of what your service or what your product is, right? And it's interesting that in Meta itself, it doesn't always perform that well in the beginning, or it doesn't really perform that well. But if you go into like incremental results and you look into truly like an M, by example, allows you to see the incremental effect, the impact on it, like Triple Whale, Norbeam, or Get Clar, by example. Then you notice that those ads actually outperform your product ads because they get new people in your funnel. And that's like a thing in creative that a lot of people get stuck into because they get addicted to the typical meta ROAS and meta game, and they kind of forget that they're still marketers, and your job is to always acquire new customers in a way, right? It's like it's a big part of your job at least. And there's like where I explore the difference in reading the data versus what your mind is telling you about how to acquire new customers.
And some metrics, I guess, that are very sexy, no? When you say ROAS, yeah, that's very exciting.
Yeah.
But there's way more, no, behind that we should understand, I guess.
Exactly.
So, touching on creative instinct and metrics that maybe are not that sexy.
Yes.
Have you ever had a creative instinct that was not supported yet by the numbers, but you wanted to fight for it?
A lot. The thing is, it's funny because the thing is that I'm also one of the guys like just experiment and test things, and nobody knows shit. You don't know anything, right? Like marketers that claim they know how a strategy works, often they don't know it. And it's like, it's super interesting. For example, one of the things I just did like a couple of weeks ago for a brand that I was owning, we did like a test with multiple angles about heating blankets. One actually is to make you warm, one is for the girlfriend, one is for the wife, one is for the grandmother, for example, and one was for traveling, right? And this one travel ad was produced by the agency I was working with, and they said like, yeah, Alex, you know, like one of the content creators was actually traveling and she couldn't make content in the sofa like we requested, so she made it in a mobile home. I was like, okay, it's not what I asked for, but let's try it out. And guess what? That one angle, the travel angle there, that just hit it ROAS 3. Like two times the performance was better than anything that I had in my own mind. So I'm like, sometimes you don't know anything, you just need to launch it and see what happens. And that's like the whole mindset. So that's one thing. Now performance for me, like the ideas always in my mind ahead is like, I really love exploring different use cases, different benefits. Like I love thinking about a product that is like typical, everybody's using like a wallet, right? And then I say like, okay, I have a wallet. What could be a use case of a wallet? And everybody's thinking the same thing. So like, oh yeah, you can use a wallet to carry your money, to be like really, to look really good, to, for example, have like all your cards in there, usability, be safe, for example, and so on. But I'm also thinking like, okay, what are things that people do not think about yet? Like maybe a wallet can make you look sexy on a date, like an sexy wallet, for example, or maybe a wallet, I don't know, can be carry less or more comfort or whatever is in your pants. You don't want to have bulky pants, right? Like things that makes you like different. And I love exploring those small niches.
Yeah.
Because once you figure something out like that, right? The data is not proven. It's nobody tells you to do like a dating angle for a wallet. But apparently, often when we do those things, like there's a high likelihood that it might work.
Yeah.
And then you find like a whole new different audience and mindset to unlock growth, which is really cool.
Yeah, I love that actually. Sometimes you don't have the support of the data, but you just have to try it, no?
But then I think also the trying parts, it's where business don't know what to try out on. And it's such a fine-tuned balance. Because you can try everything. You can try like an ad with a background that's spaghetti, an ad that's background with pizza, an ad with background. You can do a headline change. You can do so many variables, right? I think there is where like you don't want to test those things out. You want to test out the bold concepts, the different concepts. Like all you want to test out is the angle and messaging. Like is more traveling focused, or is more focused for people that want to feel more healthy, or for people that have less anxiety. Like you want to test the big swings.
The same way that we are getting many wins, and those wins will bring many good achievements, I would like to understand what is one of your, let's say, mistakes that cost a lot of money or that were painful to miss. Do you remember any in particular?
There are a lot of them. First of all, there are no mistakes in life, right? They're all trial and error. So let's agree on that one. And then I think the two mistakes I can kind of recommend, or I can like just say like that's definitely the case. One of them is spending too much money on celebrities or big names. I think that's something that I understand. Like if you use big names, by example, if you use authority, use network, and then they help, it's beautiful to work with them often, by example, and they can produce a lot of content. But if you then go into the production cost of it, as in producing that content, right? It doesn't need to be always super expensive. You don't need to build like a 200K or 150K, by example, video or a commercial, by example, with those people. The value of those people is their authenticity, is their authority, is their network. And often I notice that if you go for a 20K budget, which is already a lot, by the way, a video with them, and it's perfectly in order instead of like having like a commercial. It's perfectly shot and beautifully made and so on. So that's my one thing, like performance wise, and we kind of already knew it before that, but it's so tempting to work with celebrity. It costs you a lot of money, and then it's costing you a lot of money, so therefore you also want to invest a lot of money into production and shoot and everything else to make sure it's like really good. But honestly, those two are disconnected to each other. So I don't think you need to get in that trap of you don't pay. It's not because you pay 100K for a celebrity that you also need to build 100K, 200K for a video. And the second thing, it's not like you miss. I made a mistake once. That's not necessarily my mistake, but I did it once, and then I've been pushing it back on us lately. But rebrandings, things like a common topic that every company goes through once every 3 years, right? And then the rebranding is where you completely need to kill all the ads and then give different styles, different kind of connotations and so on. If you do that and you do like a hard switch where you decide like from day 1 to day 2 I'm going to switch everything, it completely kills your brands. It completely kills everything. And it's also very difficult then to analyze what's going wrong, because in the same time that you do that, you often go for maybe a new domain name, and then you go for maybe like all different kind of brand styles on your website, and your ads get relaunched. So and then suddenly the conversion ratio drops, and you have a little bit issues, and your audience also switch over to another audience if you know where it's coming from, right? So it kind of like impacts not only it's difficult to analyze where you went wrong. Was the brand not on track and its website conversion ratio is suckish, or was the ad suddenly like really bad, or the algorithm really changed last minute, or whatever might be the difficulties. So from that perspective, what I always now advise, recommend is we have this mindset, which is an always on mindset, and that whatever you launch, you let it die. So if you launch an experiment, if you launch a test, a campaign, everything else, for example, of course, not like a Black Friday campaign, but just like normal ads. Even though it's not on brand, even though it's not like what it should be, by example, according to the brand team, according to what you're trying to achieve, you just let it run and let it die out. And honestly, that conversation, it took me a while to get it at Loop. It took me a while to get all the companies, but once the people understand that you're a business and you're in for the money, right? And once you understand also that everything has a lifetime, every single ad, every single thing you do only is available for like a month or 2 months or 3 months, by example, and just will die out organically, then they also relax a little bit. They're okay with it. But you need to let them understand that this is driving the money at the moment and it's only temporary, and they need to see it's temporary. And the moment they see that for themselves, it's where they feel, okay, my branding is respected. It's just going to take like 1 or 2 months before they go through that.
Most teams plan every campaign in a spreadsheet, then rebuild the whole thing by hand in Ads Manager, burning time in a copy-paste exercise. With Birch, that sheet is the ultimate ad launcher. Stage maps your copy, your URLs, your creatives from Drive, and builds the ads for you. Scentbird reclaimed about 40% of their weekly campaign time with Birch. Skip the rebuild. Only in June, the first 2 months are on us. YouTube exclusive. Find the promo code in the description and apply it after your free trial. Sometimes you have a risky idea. We've been talking about it all this time.
Yeah.
You really believe in it. You have to convince the other stakeholders.
Yes.
What levers do you use? How do you pitch a risky idea to the team?
Yeah, exactly. I think you pitch it by not pitching it. That's
Okay.
that's what I do. No, the thing is that if you're able to, a couple things here, right? If it's a small idea, you're able to do it within the threads and try, by example, a small version of it. Like just scale the version down, by example, the idea, and then you'll see it works. I think it's always the best way forward. And then you can do it under the radar, and then you can prove it to some data. Hey guys, there's something here. Let's talk about it, right? That's always the best solution. Now, sometimes you do a big ideas, right? By example, I was planning to launch YouTube advertising. I was planning to, by example, look into big influencer celebrities. I would love, by example, to go for NASCAR racing, and then like all those key ideas I had in my mind. So let's talk about if you wanna build those elements or those ideas. I think the first thing is that you kind of want to involve everybody here, and you want to get everybody's input and statements. So how we do this is kind of the following. The reason why you have ID is often because there's storyline attached to it, as in you want to make more revenue, you want to grow the business, you want to unlock new audiences and so on, right? And how you get people on board of whatever you're going to tell them is build them a story. say like, look guys, I was thinking this, we were looking into scaling the business by unlocking a new audience and so on. So I was in the train, and then while I was watching, for example, I saw one car appear, and two cars appear, three cars appear, and I realized, for example, that to build a meadow, you can't do it with one bet. You need multiple bets. That's what I realized.
Yeah.
So multiple bets in a meadow makes what the field makes a field with power. So therefore, I thought like, let me put in all the bets that I in my mind, and would love you guys to implement it together on what a bet can be. Now this is a stupid story, right? But this is kind of like a storytelling you often try to do, and kind of get people on board in a certain way that say like, oh yeah, it's cool. Let's get involved a little bit. It's interesting. It's weird, but that's interesting. So that's what I did. And then we pretty much said like all the ideas we had in mind, bad ideas, good ideas, also ideas that I definitely didn't want to, but it's just, of course, putting that on the table. And then we just all came together and we put stickers on ideas that we liked, they usually didn't like, by example. We made revenue forecasts on every single idea there was, potential. We made typically ICE analytics, so like the ICE impact analysis, which is ease of production, ease of creation of that idea, the impact of how it makes actually, and also how complex it actually is to execute. So that's ICE, typically a framework that you always can use to validate your ideas. And then the moment that's in place, then people start liking things, loving things, and everything else, right? It's like top, great, and they get involved into it. And then even you ask your CEO to come up with some ideas, right? And then you pitch all the things that you have in place, which is amazing. And then you kind of start attaching budgets to it. So it's a thing. Oh, but this costs this much. This costs this much. This costs this much. And then you start to go next level, right? So you let people involved in the creativity of how cool would it be to do like a Coachella collaboration with X, Y, Z with a lot of influencers, and let them go to Bali together, and like all those things. And then they love it. And then like, okay, cool. Let's talk about budgets now. And then you start putting budgets on all your ideas a little bit, right? And then you can say, cool. And then you can start talking about, okay, what budget do we have in place for that? So experiments, those ideas, or bets we want to make. And then you often say, oh, we have 100K, 200K in place, right? And then you can start, oh, okay, that's interesting. So we can do maybe these 5 things like this. And so you have everybody involved. Everybody's super excited without a budget, right? Then you can like budget ideas, and then you can very, very fast actually conclude which ideas are making the list. It's a really fun way to get everybody involved and to get everybody on board. So that's what I did at Loop often. And yeah, honestly, then the next step is the growth sprints. It's, okay, amazing, we're all aligned. Let's build it into a slide deck. Let's all agree on it. And then it's more about, and that's very important, if you start doing those things, it's amazing to brainstorm, it's amazing to put the budget on it, anything else, but then you need stamp approval. And you need like approved stamp of approval by your CEO, by your CMO, and to like, look, that is my 6 slides. Those are the 6 experiments that we align on, that we agreed on, my example. Now I need you to say yes.
I really like storytelling because storytelling is everywhere. It's important for you to buy things. Why not buy an idea, right?
Yeah.
Inside the company. So storytelling is important. And just allowing yourself to have that safe space to say crazy things, but then getting people involved also to just participate on those crazy ideas and then develop, no? So that's how you also get more stakeholders inside the company that will push for that final approval, I guess.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. You need that. If you're going to pitch it yourself, by example, it's not going to work out. My CMO once told me once, it's you never pitch your first idea. You always pitch your second idea. So first idea can be so crazy, so wild, everybody gets so excited about it, and so super cool to do, for example. But then, of course, the moment that's like too expensive, something else, then what is the best next thing we can actually do? Oh, I also have a really good best next thing I can do, which is that I once tried to pitch Pokémon earplugs.
Pokémon earplugs.
Pokémon earplugs.
I love Pokémon, by the way. I'm the biggest fan, so yeah. I buy the idea, by the way.
Thank you.
You have my approval.
Thank you. Happy to hear that.
Yeah.
Once tried to pitch that, didn't came true because I didn't use a framework model. I was just like straightforward. Oh, it's such a good idea. Let's pitch it.
I would have loved to just be there imagining. Oh, the budget will be that.
Yes.
I just want to be there.
Imagine, and then you get like starter sets, for example, and a mystery box where you're like, oh, what is
the starter set? Yeah. And actually, that's so stupid. Probably we're gonna cut this, but there was this comedy gag that I remember that said, "How did you save your marriage?" He said, "I never said the first thing I wanted to say. I always said the third one."
Yeah, exactly. I saw it.
So it's a little bit the same. You have to pitch your third idea.
We're all human beings.
Think about it. Is there a metric that you are using right now to prevent an idea from being killed too early?
If you go to advertising rights, you kind of want to see signs of life. And signs of life, actually, it's actually everything in signs of life. Signs of life for me means that there is a positive trend, like things are evolving, my example, and so on. So that's for me positive. If you go to advertising, clear answer is just thumbs up ratio, right? Like, what is the first thing that you want to do is get an ad that people find interesting enough. So your thumbs up ratio is the main metric that I validate on actually getting people interested. Second metric is, of course, your CTR, making sure people are clicking to the link, to the ad, by example. Third metric, by example, is your ratios from link to add to cart to conversion, so on and so on, going all the way down to failed purchase, right? So that's a typical thing that for me is relevant. But I would say, what is the main metric of what is the idea behind not killing things so fast? Is sometimes, and it goes a bit deeper, is asking people what they think about it in post-purchase survey data. So if you have an idea, and tomorrow you launch a quiz funnel, right? Or tomorrow you launch a new product, right? Whatever it might be. And very often we're like, okay, but this is not performing the same way as our current business is performing. And they're like, oh yeah, maybe we should kill it because it's not working right now, right? And then if you sometimes ask your customers, you post-purchase data of those people that actually converted, right? And just like, look, how many ads you saw before you converted? Or, by example, what was the reason you converted on this quiz funnel and not on this, by example, right? And then you start understanding sometimes that this thing you did, this project you did, is acquiring a new audience completely that you haven't done before. Or, by example, maybe you're missing out on some opportunities here and there, by example, right? But I think that's like, we always, as humans, we go into data and marketeers, we go super fast into like conclusions and judgmental elements, but we kind of forget sometimes that's just ask people, the customers that have bought, and then what they're missing out on. So if it's simple answer, if the ads just thumbs up ratio, anything else, if it's bigger projects in life, bigger projects in the business, do not forget asking in your post-purchase data how those people are acting and call them up or ask them like how the experience was.
Alex, you are a very active person with so many projects. Your creativity is there. You can see that you are all the time thinking. But some other marketers will be a little bit more reserved on that end because they will be those kind of professionals that say data, data, data.
Yeah.
What do you think that is different in you that you're willing to take those risks?
I'm a gambler.
Okay, this will.
No. I'm not a gambler because like I've been in my life only two times in the casino my whole entire life. No, but let's be honest about it, right? If I got grown up in the growth marketing scene, I literally in my past I got people asking me like, Alex, we want to be innovative, prove us with 10, 20 new experiments we have never done before, and prove us that we as a corporate company can be unique and can be do cool stuff. That's what you asked me, and that's like my mindset there. And what I just learned, and I learned it actually just from doing it, is that the more you go off the beaten track, the more you go off the path, right?
Yeah.
The faster you'll find things that are scaling your business, and the more you find new things, the more you grow. And my mind's like so driven that I care actually quite little about data when it comes to like just doing what is already working. And I just love focusing on new things because I know that my experience showed me that if I focus 78% of my new elements, I will find something that works. I will find something that increases budget and increases my revenue and so on. So it's more of like a teach mechanic, I would say.
Yeah.
In a way. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's pretty cool because what you mentioned actually is that experience brings to that state of like, this happened to me before. So the fact that you were able to be in a context where the company allowed you to do those big swings and actually hit something, that's kind of cool too, because there's some learning behind it, clearly.
Yeah. There's also the mindset you want to kind of have in business. And I think, honestly, so whether I go advise companies or reconstruct ecom holdings or whatever it is, I always want to make sure there is a budget available for big things and random things, because it's so very easily that a CFO comes in play or a company like a new CMO comes in play and starts optimizing things to that. It's like, okay, this is working, so we're going to do more from this.
Data. No context.
Context, and we're going to do more from this, and we have this revenue per ads, and we're going to increase X amount of ads and so on. And yes, it works. Like, honestly, it works so well. But outside of that, you need to have people that just go off the beaten track and think about different things you have not done before.
You need some runway to
You
experiment.
need runway, yeah. Yeah, that's it. You need runway to experiment, and you need a kind of a process for yourself to experiment. Like what I do in the past is I use growth sprints. So I told my team, like, guys, whatever idea you come up with, a quiz funnel, a visual funnel, whatever idea you have, by example, talk to me about it. I'll give you a budget, which is like 30, 40K, by example, for a period of 2 months or 3 months, right? And then after 3 months, I want, not by example, I don't want to see like in 3 months' time that you're profitable. No, I want to see in the end of 3 months, I want to see that you did 40 experiments, for example, 40 ideas, and I would love to see 4 or 5 of those ideas being profitable. Like that's your value if you do it. So you go away from this mindset that everything's a target, a revenue target. You go to mindset like, no, prove me that you find 4 or 5 ideas that can work for us that we haven't done before.
Clearly, we agreed that you need some runway to make some mistakes. How do you approach this with your team? How do you allow them to make mistakes without this being too often?
So honestly, the thing is that if you're in a business, you can micromanage people, but what you can do is build rule of thumbs. And for me, rule of thumb, by example, I implement is, guys, 70% of what you do needs to be focused on what the business is running, right? For example, so if you have a capacity for 10 zero experiments, for example, if you have a capacity for whatever it might be, then I would like for you, by example, to 70 to 80% of where you focus on the things that are within that range, for example, right? And 20 to 30% can be completely new things. And that's the first rule of thumb. And often I go very extreme in that. Like often I went like, guys, 70 to 80% of what you do, completely new.
Wow.
I don't completely new ideas, complete new use case, new angles, new messages, new zero tests, by example, right? I want bigger, bolder, better. That's like for me the thing.
Wow, the 3 Bs.
The 3 Bs. That's the new model. The 3 Bs, bigger, bolder, better. So yeah, that's important. And then if you have that in place, then you go into second rule of thumb, as in you need to achieve, of course, your success ratio. And that's like for me a challenge for the guys, as in okay, try to make sure that 20% of whatever you do is successful, right? So you get quite a leeway. You can do 10 experiments, and if you get 2 out of 10 successful, that's good. That's amazing. Like that is the room for failure you want to give. And then the rule of thumb, by example, is it goes more into bigger jumps. If you, by example, go for I want to launch a quiz funnel or a throw funnel, or, for example, I want to launch a bundle page or subscription page, it's like really more advanced. There's where you say like you start building process as I described before, the 3-month process, where you say, prove me things are working. Don't prove me that you're profitable. Prove me that you can find new things that are working for yourself and that ROI positive, that actually bring a certain amount of revenue in, by example, out of experience, and you give your leeway. And then after 3 months, you do like again a pivot, scale or kill, right? Where you decide, by example, okay, did we find something that works? Amazing. Is it able to scale yet, or do you still need to tweak it to make it more profitable? For example, might also be the case, and you pivot. And I think if you have built that system for yourself in your mind, in your people, in your culture, then it just helps a lot not being a micromanager and just challenging them on the numbers, like how much experience did you do and what success ratio did you hit and those things, which is a nicer number to challenge on and also to help on than to just say, oh, you didn't hit your 1 million revenue target. What are you going to do next month to improve it? Yeah. Then the person is also kind of stuck. Yeah, oh yeah, I can make more ads maybe, but I know, like maybe the success is too low, right? And then give them a little more guidance, I guess.
Yeah, I guess that you took your experience and how they allowed you, no, to experiment, and that's how you became the marketer that you are right now. And look, Alex, with this, we are gonna finish the interview, but
yes,
we have a game for you. And
let's play the game.
What we're gonna do is I'm gonna bring you to those rooms where decisions were made, where there was a creative idea to be decided if we want to fight for it or kill it. And you will have to decide if it's worth going for it or not.
Cool. Yeah, I'm down. Let's
go. Let's do that. A small non-alcoholic cocktail brand called Mixoloche, I might have pronounced that wrong, is struggling to get attention in 2024. An intern, Nicole, has a bold idea. She smashes cans on camera as an act of rebellion against her boss's conservative marketing approach, reenacting famous movie scenes. And if she hits 500,000 followers in 60 days, she doesn't get fired, but instead gets a full-time job. Kill it or green light?
So I would say definitely green lights, honestly. The thing is, it's a fun challenge, right? It's a fun challenge, but I think the idea where it comes from is kind of toxic. Yeah, it's true, because the idea itself about smashing cans into things, get like the movie scenes and getting the publisher followers, for example, that's really good, and I really like it. But the fact that she does it as a rebellion against her conservative manager, right, means that there's not really like an open culture, like an open thing in it. So it's really like, yeah, but maybe you should talk about it as in like, guys, it's a really good idea, and as a manager, maybe you should be open for it. So I feel that the fact that she goes that as a rebellion into it, I would say not the best approach there, but the concept that she has is, I love it. It's green light, just go for experimenting, try it out for yourself. I would just make sure that everybody is on board with it, because you get more buy-in, you get more people excited for it, by example, instead of you. And even though you're not the thing is, I don't feel in this stake, right, that the firing is the right incentive nor the promotion. Like, just try out and be good and achieve things and be really cool. And if you fail, no worries, that's also fine. So that makes me a little bit like the red light coming in.
Totally understand it.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So I love the idea of her; it's amazing. The incentive is completely red light.
So it's a green light. So Nicole hit 500,000 followers 2 weeks early.
Nice.
The sales spiked 800%. So clearly it was a success. They even rebranded the name of the brand. Instead of Mixology, now it's called Smashed.
Nice. I love that. So, that's a good story.
Look,
that's a good story now.
Yeah, so good for Nicole and her intern story in the company.
I'm happy she could promote it.
She got a job, so that's good for her.
Exactly, she got a job, yeah.
Lovely. So the next story, let me read it for you. Okay, so Apple launches the new iPad Pro with an in-house campaign. The concept goes like this. A hydraulic press slowly crashes a piano, a trumpet, paint cans, cameras, books, and arcade machine. And the outcome is the thinnest iPad ever. So the idea is simple. Everything creative now fits in one device. On the pitch, it sounds like a classic Apple move, but I want to understand on your end, kill it or green light, or what's your thought about it?
So we crunch everything in one thing, right? And that's like the visual cue of it. Honestly, I would say kind of green light, because I think the visual would be very nice. It's a very typical like an ASMR kind of video concept, where you have this, like, people love breaking things and seeing things. So I think that's pretty cool. I would green light it. I'm not sure that Apple would do it, by the way, but personally I would green light it.
So it was green lighted by the team of Apple. It went out.
Nice.
But actually, there's an interesting story with this one. In terms of performance, it didn't translate into that many kind of conversions per se, because the creative audience thought of it like this tool with AI and with everything. So everything creative is just like taken away from us.
Yeah.
And we have a last one.
Okay, good. So shoot me.
I'll shoot you with this one. And this one is pretty recent, so let's see if you have heard of this one. A24 Studio is releasing a niche sports film about ping pong in the 1950s.
Okay.
The budget is more than $60 million, the biggest in the studio's history. So someone on your marketing team suggests leaking a Zoom call featuring Timothée Chalamet, the film's lead, where he pitches the campaign himself. A staged Zoom call, of course, that would look like a real one. What do you think? Kill it or green light it?
Interesting. So Zoom call with Timothy, and then he's producing, he's pitching it, right? So I love those things.
You love it.
I love those things. For me, it's like the authenticity is huge, right? Authenticity. Everybody knows Zoom call. Everybody has experience with that. Everybody also knows Timothy, by example, from Face, is big films Ekster. So I really like the idea, though. I think that's one of the ideas that I definitely would do. I'm really keen for hearing the price and the cost of that one. That's going to be well how expensive Zoom call to pay for. But that's a really cool idea.
And you're totally right. I mean, you're a big swinger, and this one is a correct one too. So the video went viral, And in fact, they executed all the unhinged ideas Timothy suggested during this call.
That's amazing.
So everything that was
perfect.
mentioned happened. So
Yeah.
the people was engaged, but it was a lot of money that they
That's
made.
it.
So it was a
Exactly.
success. Look, Alex, it's been a pleasure. Thank you very much for your
likewise.
time. And actually, I'm going to give you one last challenge because
Sure.
when we are finishing this podcast,
Yes.
we like to decide what are the 3 takeaway points that we got from today. One that I will say from today's call is that failing, you mentioned it before, but making mistakes is actually a victory because with the big swings, there's a 20% victory, right?
I think the second one is the understanding that you want to reach to multiple audiences at the same time. Understanding that growth comes from unlocking persona A, B, C, D, E, F, right? That's where growth comes from. So understanding that one and also implement that in your business, that's important. And then the third element goes into the connection that you have with your brand team, creative team, performance team.
Yes.
I think that honestly is super crucial and so important, where a lot of businesses are just straightforward and they're very hierarchical, as in brand manager, creative, performance. It's really just a combination of the 3. You guys have the same objective. It's all about growing the business, making more revenue, finding ways that's both in short term as in the long term, you make a good lifetime value, you good revenue for the business. And I think there's where finding a way that you can get metrics to help each other. Success metrics, revenue metrics, metrics that help you to unlock new audiences. I think that's like, if you're able to figure that out for your business,
Yes.
it opens up a conversation, which is going to be very nice for everybody that involved.
Engaging the team, no? Having the team engaged and collaborating.
Yeah.
That's definitely one takeaway. And I will give you the last one. Taking risks. Not only making mistakes, but allow yourself to make some risk, no? And take them.
It's the base of everything, my friends. It's the base of everything.
I love that. I love that. Alex, it's been a pleasure. Thank you very much, and
Likewise.
hope to have you back.
Thank you.